And speaking of lifting, lifting spirits takes on new meaning for the group in our first story. Their lift comes from within, with a little help from a ski lift and some volunteers. Jolene Letcher hits the slopes for the story.
Here, you find the solitude of the soul, a breadth of hills and horizon that swallows your breath and fills the spirit. Mother Nature's majesty and magic, creating a calm from within.
Holy crap!
Cutting through the crisp of the air on this Saturday in February at Great Bear Park near Sioux Falls, the energy of unleashing the unexpected and the excitement of uncertainty.
Today's going to be a big day.
A first of its kind day here.
Today's going to be a lot of new.
For the first time, an entire day of adaptive skiing, where trained volunteers equipped with sitting skis take to the slopes.
Being a part of their lesson, it really encourages a sense of freedom. I think going from a wheelchair and having a slower paced life, it seems like, to all of a sudden releasing them to 20, 30 miles an hour on a ski slope is pretty freeing, pretty exciting.
I never skied in my life.
Where in the peaks and valleys of life, the thrill of the downhill ride overcomes that rough path of the uphill battles of the past.
And I really go.
The gear may muffle his grin, but it cannot mask Jim Kapperman's contagious smile.
Well, top heavy?
Yeah.
Well, what are you saying?
Tucked in, volunteers use ties to help control the skiers.
Yeah!
But the steering, that is on Jim.
What are you doing?
Come on, Jim, steer it.
I'm trying.
As he cruises and avoids any crashes on his first pass on the bunny hill,
I made it.
it's a ride 56 years in the making.
Back when I was younger, I was thinking about skiing and stuff, but I never took the time to do it. Now I finally did. Well, I guess I got the time and I did it, so.
Didn't take the time because 15 years ago, with 2 young daughters, a wife, work, and building his new house, time, well, it took care of itself. Until time stopped.
A life-changing event, let me tell you. I was working that day and, you know, just going along, and we had a piece of new equipment we tried out. I got bucked out of the seat of the dozer, and I hit my head on the roll cage and snapped my neck kind of, you know, and then I ended up in the seat just numb from the neck down.
He didn't know then just how bad the bulldozer accident would be.
Being you can't feel nothing, I couldn't move nothing, couldn't, you know, all I could do was move my head from one side to the other.
4-letter words couldn't hide the 12-letter word Jim would soon hear after that.
I guess when I heard the doctor in the other room or in the hallway tell the wife, you better kind of prepare yourself for quadriplegic. That was a tough one. That was, I think I was awake the whole time up until about that time, and then I heard that, and then I kind of took a little nap after that.
When he woke up,
I was talking to the good Lord. I said, you know, I got 2 daughters to walk down the aisle, and I really want to do that. I want to be able to do that, and I'm not quite done. There should be a way.
a way because he willed it.
It took quite a bit. It was when you're laying there and you can't move nothing and you're wondering what's going to be next, and eventually, okay, a big toe moves a little bit. There's hope, you know. So then from there on, it was a long, hard journey.
3 months in the hospital, a few holidays among those days, 18 months in rehab to also follow, along with new friends and a newfound philosophy on life.
You can either live with your disability or you can die with it, so you got to choose to live with it.
Living like before, but even more than before. Fishing again, and now working out, lifting weights 3 times a week. His smile and jokes covering up a constant pain that only sleep relieves.
I always got pain. Sometimes when I was rehabbing and stuff, they'd ask, what does it feel like? And I'd say, well, remember what Popeye's arms looked like? That's kind of what it feels like. Heavy, big, swollen.
But in the last year, Jim did what he asked God to let him do in that hospital room, putting the physical pain aside and doing what most dads dread, that painful task of giving your daughter away.
Joyous. Joyous, at ease. I did it. We made it down. I'm glad. I gave my daughters off to two good guys, and it was great. It was a good feeling, one of the best feelings in the world.
And Jim didn't wait for the reception to do a little dancing. Back at Great Bear, with the bunny slope down,
I walked my daughters down the aisle, which I wasn't supposed to do. I had a grandson. I shot my first buck in 16 years. So I guess the next stage is try skiing.
Jim keeps spirits lifted
Put her up.
as he goes up the lift.
Here we go.
We're a business.
You betcha.
All right, first chairlift ride.
Yep, first ride.
How many years?
56.
More than a half-century of life experiences, those peaks and valleys that Jim hopes also helps lift another skier.
Race and color?
Yeah, right behind us.
All right.
His nephew Mason, one of the youngest skiers out today. And as he leads him on the lift and in life, Jim hopes he learns.
Hope. Hope, and keeps you going, keeps your mood high, keeps it going. You just living life is good to go, you know.
And it keeps Jim going too.
I feel different, or I've taken on more challenges, and I remember in rehab about getting off the floor or falling, you know, or something, and I said, you know, it's kind of tough, you know, little kids don't have this much trouble, you know. Well, they didn't have as far to fall, plus they got a nice cushion on their butt.
So never short on one-liners, Jim lines up again.
Yeah, you felt just like, I mean, just the freedom and just the fun of getting to do something. Other than sit in a chair or walk stiff and hurt and pain, the pain was gone.
An entire day of peace from pain, slicing through the silence of the slopes, and being reminded that the path of life, it doesn't always go straight, and what you find along the way matters more than what you leave behind.
Joined by Jolene Letcher, and great to see Jim get back on his feet literally after the accident. But adaptive skiing, which is what they were doing there, goes back to what point in history?
Right after World War II, vets came home and those with injuries wanted to do what they did before the war, so they created adaptive skiing.
And there might be some other kind of skiing in his future?
He plans to water ski and, get this, Tom, kayak.
Very cool. Thank you, Jolene.